Speedrunning is genuinely one of the most fun ways to play a game, but when this kind of shit happens... Really? Yep, sure, let's just kick the tiny fucking ledge. Yep, and okay, well, there goes any bit of time save I could have hoped to get. I do wonder why it's not showing me at any point. I'm just getting close. Okay, well, no, fuck me. I'm done. I'm actually done. I don't care. That fucking ruined the experience for me. Fuck this. I'm actually done. I don't care. You start to think otherwise. Let's break this video down into a couple sections real quick, though. First, I'll describe how the game works in case you've never played it. Secondly, it's going to cover my experience learning the route, things like learning the move text and tricks using the route. Last thing will be me actually doing full runs. So if you've seen my stuff before, you might have seen my video on learning to speedrun Peak, and that game was pretty easy to get into and had got some good runs going on it because the controls were simple and consistent. Nonetheless, though, the time I spent learning the game was very enjoyable. Pseudo Regalia was the next game I decided to pick up and try out since I had a great time playing on my first run through of the game. Let's just say things didn't go exactly the way I expected them to. Before I bitch about my experience with this speedrun, I figured I should briefly explain how the game works first. If you've ever played a game like Super Mario 64 before, some of the basic movements should be pretty easy to pick up on. Things like side flips, back flips, wall jumps, and ground pads are present in the game and feel warmly familiar, like a fresh nut on the face. Unlike that game though, Pseudo Regalia is Metroidvania, meaning you gotta find your abilities. And unlike other Metroidvanias that I played like Hollow Knight and Silksong, it's actually pretty easy to just completely miss certain abilities. Though to make up for that, and what is my absolute favorite aspect of the game is the crazy movement tricks and tech you have at your disposal. The two most common and applicable bits of tech for the speedrun are ultra hops and glide hops, both of which are theoretically simple to perform and use the slide ability as a basis. Glide hops see chain slides together to give you a ton of speed, which you can carry by bunny hopping, and items like the sun greaves can greatly extend your preservation of speed by keeping you in the air longer. Ultra hops are a little weirder because you need to cancel the slide and then quickly press jump to get this blue trail, which keeps your speed but gives you a ton of height. I'll link the tutorial I followed to learn these tricks if you want a more in-depth explanation of how these things work, and I'll also link the tutorial I follow that shows the route I'm taking if you're interested in that as well, my dear viewer. With that out of the way, I can finally show you both my enjoyment and existential misery when trying to run this game. The beginning of this game is kind of what you'd expect it to be, pretty slow. Literally just go grab your sword and the slide ability and then things start actually progressing. Except for this one jump right here. The fastest way to do it is a gainer, which is basically a side flip, but you flick the jump so you can keep going in the same direction. And I could not explain to you why I cannot do this jump consistently at all, especially considering how easy it is in comparison to literally everything else in the run. For something so easy, this jump caused me immense amounts of pain. After that though, you do a little coyote jump to skip the rest of the platforming. The next part is walking to the slide, which features a small little trick that I actually like a lot, but is also a cunt and a half because it's not really consistent when trying for max speed. All it is, you just jump into the ceiling here, but if you time it right, you can get a huge speed boost and save a couple of seconds, which is cool to do. Once you grab slide, the game immediately triples in pace because you just gain access to your two best movement options in the form of aforementioned ultras and glides. If you like the video so far, please consider subscribing because that really is the best way to help me out at the moment. Also keeps me motivated to keep making more videos, but that's all I got for now, so let's get back to the video. Do I have some choice words for these tricks? Ultras, for one, are the most godforsaken, bullshit, fuck-ass, should have been shot in the head, outback, retarded-ass movement tech, and are the bane of my existence for trying to play this game. I spent probably 4 hours burning the inputs for this into my muscle memory, and I swear there are just certain spots in the game where I can't do it even remotely consistently. There are a couple prominent spots that I have induced enough pain in me that I could develop depression 5 times over just from trying to perform the ultra required for the route. A big issue I had when learning this trick was that I was doing it on controller. Now I can hear you asking why that'd be a problem. The reason for it is the quick actions needed to properly do this trick. You need to flick the stick in the opposite direction of a slide while pressing jump, then jump again when these blue sparks appear. And it might just be my controller. I've honestly still not written that as the reason why I've struggled so much, but it just feels a little weird to do. The other major input method would be keyboard. This tech is much easier to do consistently on keyboard as you don't have to stop holding the direction you want to go. You just tap the S key briefly, which allows for much more consistency when determining your direction. Then why don't I just use keyboard, you ask? Well, that's because glide hops are much more consistent on controller, and controller just feels more natural to play this game with, but mostly the former. Glide hops are less prominent in tricks, but are absolutely necessary for map traversal. Glide hops pissed me off in a similar way to ultras because of the timing. In a game like a Hat in Time with tricks like rollouts, there's a clear visual indication as to what part of the timing is messed up. Pseudo Regalia, most likely due to the art style, does not have the same luxuries afforded to it. I swear, for the longest time, and even a little now, there was little to no visual feedback on what part I did wrong. Because of that, I ended up wanting to punch a hole through my monitor more times than I'd care to admit. The other two prominent things in my route were the use of the sun greaves and the cling grip. Sungreaves you grab first, which lets you do 3 wall kicks before you can't do any more, and the wall kicks can be used in multiple directions, determined based on how you came into the wall. If you kick while following along the wall, stay pretty close to it, whereas if you came at it head on, you just turn around. Sounds great, right? I mean, it can be, but when you're also using kicks to retain glide hop momentum, and the long ass hitbox duration these things have makes you hit a wall when you swear the animation was done, I feel like bombing an orphanage isn't going to be enough to quell your rage. They also have a bug that of course I've not seen anyone else encounter, which is just my fucking luck. So when you grab an item, this pop-up box appears. With only the Sungreaves, there's a chance that when you try and close it, it tweaks out and stays up on your screen, forcing you to reset to your most recent save, which in most cases means a full run reset. Cling Grip is the other ability that pissed me off for a damn long while because it seemed like it just didn't want to grab the wall. But basically what it does is just let you ride along the wall for a distance, and I'll touch more on this with specific tricks because it'll make more sense talking about it for its use cases there. The first major roadblock comes right after you obtain the Sungreaves. The goal is to get from this ledge all the way to this great size wall thing over here. You ultra off this lower ledge, then do 2 wall kicks to make it over. And at this point in time, I could not figure out how to do ultras consistently at all. And when I did do it, I never had enough height. So I used this higher ledge to help me get the height I was missing from the jump. I don't know how long I spent bashing my head against the wall just to get this trick once. After coming back to it now with a better understanding of how ultras work, I really like this trick since it saves a lot of time and it's just cool to do. But god damn, did it piss me off. The next trick that I've yet to fully implement in my runs comes soon after this from this wall right here in the Bailey. Now, let me start off by saying this is one of my favorite skips in the game. With that out of the way, I'll now proceed to shit on it. Again, a large portion of my initial struggles comes with the implementation of ultras, but the other factors were distance, as well as where I started in my jump, height, and proper wall kicks. The distance I solved easily by finding this line in the textures as the perfect spot to start a slide from, immediately cutting out issue number 1. And while the ultra is a hard and necessary part of the trick, the hardest part was deceptively the wall kicks. You need to time these properly with your height, positioning, and angle 3 times in a row so you can make it up to this ledge up here. This trick saves, I think, about a good 20 seconds, so very much a great chunk of time. This is one of those tricks that I've failed to nail consistently, which pisses me off, literally just because it forces me to use the lamer backup route. Cling Grip is easy to get and does have one cool skip that saves like 10 to 15 seconds if you can do it. You do a precise ultra and kick to make it from this ledge to this ledge all the way over here, and it doesn't look too bad, but once you try it, you realize just how precise it is. This, like the Bailey cut, pisses me off solely because it's cooler, and yet I've got to take the slower, more boring route. The underbelly key is the next major thing and has this weird setup to skip needing a sword ability. This jump is dumb as shit because you gotta be barely standing on this ledge to barely hit an ultra to get to this upper ledge. At this point, it's not even the ultra it's the issue. It's the fact you gotta be this damn precise standing on the ledge, which for me at least just slows things down. After grabbing the key is also stupid because in the old patch, you could do an awesome damage wrong warp and just skip straight back to the front of the room, but now I've gotta do this bullshit wall cling strat that I hate. This next jump has both confused me and pissed me off. You need to hit an ultra, which if precise enough is it, but if not, you gotta stall in the air with a kick and cancel it with an attack so you can grab the ledge. Next part sees you hitting another ultra, wall kick, backflip, 2 more wall kicks to reach its upper ledge. Now it makes sense to say this second jump took me longer to do than the first, but nothing makes any fucking sense anymore because the jump with less inputs is much harder for some reason. I've got it down now, but holy shit did it make me want to put another hole through my monitor. The Twilight Theater is the last major section of the game and features a couple big skips, one of which has pissed me off to the moon and back despite not even being that hard. The first skip is another one that skips needing to grab a sword ability. You need to hit the switch. Instead, you hit an ultra, wall kick, and cling to work your way over the gap. Funnily enough, the ultra's not even the hard part anymore. The hardest part is getting this fuck-ass cling ability to just even work. I don't know how many attempts I did when learning this where, while holding the button for the cling, I just dropped all the way down the wall instead of grabbing it. Funnily enough, despite that being miserable by itself, the bullshit of ultras rears its ugly head again and fucks me so hard I can't stand for days. This one jump, this one single jump, has become one of my least favorite parts in the run very quickly. The rest of it where you right along the wall and up is perfectly fine. Even hitting the ultra to get up the ledge is fine. It's literally just this one spot I cannot fucking hit it. As per usual though in speedrunning, most of your runs die at the beginning and I'm no different. The first 2 trick jumps cost me probably 5 or 6 runs out of the 15 I've done at the time of writing this. Again, the easier the trick, I swear the harder a time I have doing it. For full runs as well, you've got your life split up with splits so you know what your pace is. It took me so long to get all my splits up, and once I thought I was done, I did a run. It just so happens that I was not done and I was missing 1 split, so my timer stopped early, immediately forfeiting my run. And after taking 30 minutes to do an incredibly shit run, like spending 5 minutes on one spot because I couldn't hit it, just so I have splits, I quit doing runs that day and stopped my stream out of anger. And watching me fucking have a great time play a game I hate now. Thanks and bye. Jesus. fucking Christ. I'm also not entirely a great sport when it comes to doing runs either. For example, when playing both a Hat in Time and Peak, I'd stop my run quickly if I fucked up like 1 or 2 tricks. Like, I had the entire rest of the route down, but not getting this one timepiece consistently pissed me off so bad I'd always reset runs here, and it eventually got me to quit running because it ruined the game for me. So when I've got my entire route memorized, but I can't execute on it, it genuinely pisses me off to no end. Even more so when I'm actually hitting this shit in my practice attempts. But after a grand total of 36 attempts, I got 1 full game run. My time ended up being a 28:43, which surprised me in all honesty. I knew my run wasn't anything groundbreaking, but the fact that I placed 77th out of 86 was shocking. Like, I knew I wasn't doing some cuts since I wasn't hitting them, and that I was also sucking major dick on my movement throughout the run, but seeing myself that far down was pretty crazy. I, of course, immediately started looking at other runs above me to see what I could change in my route to improve or anything like that. Guess what I found? I just straight up suck ass at this game. Genuinely, so much of the time save is just from good movement alone. Yeah, of course there are other tricks and skips in the run that I'm not doing. I even knew movement was very important, but goddamn, I didn't know it could save me literal minutes just from cleaning things up. Despite all my bitching and moaning, especially when practicing, I still very much enjoy running this game. Genuinely, please don't let this video ruin your perception of this game. It's incredibly fun to play both this speedrun way and casually. Pretty much most of it, if not all of my problems with this run, were solved after I spent a couple hours practicing ultras and glide hops to a point of at least decent consistency. Similar to a Hat in Time, this run, if you couldn't tell, is incredibly movement heavy. There are more glitches and tricks in that game, whereas Pseudo Regalia's non-stop constant movement, literally your only downtime is in between load zones. If you've seen some of my other videos, you've probably heard just how much I love movement mechanics in games. So this run was one that caught my interest after I finished playing the game casually. And for almost every negative I've listed, I've got a positive to counter it, except for Sungreaves pop-up bug. Fuck that, it actually ruins the game. But seriously, there's a ton of cool stuff this game has to offer. This trick in Twilight Theater is cool because you barely stand on the edge of this rock and then jump and kick your sword into the switch, just barely making it onto the platform. Even all the tricks I bitched about earlier are literally some of my favorite spots in the run because, I mean, come on, like, who just doesn't like cool skips? The wall cut in Bailey, while inconsistent for me, has got to be one of the coolest skips because it cuts off such a big waste of time. Instead of doing this boring route that takes you all the way around, just do this cool skip where you grab the ledge to just barely make it up. That's all I've got for this video, and if you liked it, please subscribe and share because those are literally the 2 best ways to support me at the moment. Any bit of interaction helps. And if you like this though as well, please comment. If you have any other suggestions for other games, I'll look at them, see if there's anything that piques my interest, and who knows, I might run it. If that doesn't work for you, you could also try and catch me when I'm streaming on Twitch or YouTube as well. Either or, it doesn't matter. But again, that's all I've got, so have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, and I hope to see you again real soon.